What is up, YouTube? Today we are looking at another user-requested sound. I'm probably going to get in trouble for pronouncing a name wrong again. Today we are looking at the WAIO lead sound. It's less of a kind of lead sound and more of a sort of transition style that he uses a lot in his tracks. But let's have a listen to what I'm talking about and then you guys can see. So the patch itself is very simple, but as you can hear, it's got this kind of cool transition style that almost sounds like it's delaying the sound out, but it's not. It's just a sort of audio sample that's been chopped up and then various effects sort of applied and stuff like that. So first things first, I'm going to go through creating the arpeggiator type sound in Spire. Then I'm going to show you guys how to chop it up and the kind of process that I went through to recreate this type of sound. So because the pattern is based on an arpeggiator, I just need to play one note. I don't need to work out any sort of notation and stuff there, so I'm just doing that. I'm going to create a new Spire and just hit initialize on that. And then I want to drag this MIDI over. Okay, so like I said, the patch is based around a arpeggiator. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to jump over to this arp section over here and hit this on button over here. And then here on mode, we want to set this to step. So what that means is now it's going to read these step inputs and kind of transpose each of those notes to the step that we choose here. So it goes 0, 0, 10, then 0, 0, 12, then 0, 13. And then here you want to put this tie on. Then it goes 0, 0, 12, and then 0, 0, 0, 12. And then let's put the tie on this 12. And it should be something like this. So because I'd already put the MIDI in and I noticed that it was one octave up, I just shifted it down over there rather than having to, change the MIDI and stuff like that. But then the rest of the oscillator section is literally in it. Very bare bones kind of sound, this one. But then I ran this acido filter on LP1, turned the cutoff to about there and the resonance also to about there. And then I turned this filter here to perfecto HP4 and then turn it down to about there. Now it should be something like this. Cool, that's getting there. So now with the envelopes, what we want to do is just to create more of a sort of punchy type of sound. Let's set the decay and the sustain down and decay up. And then let's move over to the effects. So the shaper I changed to this Tube 3. It's easily my favorite in Spire at the moment. And turn the drive up to about there. And the dry wet was up quite high. Oh, you know what? So the envelope in Spire automatically defaults to applying to the cutoff when you turn the cutoff on. So we're actually going to want to turn that down. I need to a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a pluck type of effect there. Cool, getting there. So then I put on a tiny little bit amount of chorus and then a little bit of reverb. And then I believe I applied a little bit of this X comp, turned the volume down a little bit to counteract the sort of boost that the X comp gives. Then I turned the EQ on and turned this level all the way down. And then just turned the Q down a little bit as well. Just to pull down the lows in the patch itself. I didn't want to do too much hefty EQing and stuff before bouncing it out again and then getting too complicated and stuff. So I just sort of applied a little bit of light EQ on the patch to remove some of those lows. So yeah, that should be it from the patch. So let's have a listen to see if we're getting there. So before doing any automation and applying any sort of hectic effects and stuff onto the Spire channel, because I kind of had in mind already the sort of transition that I wanted to do, I kind of knew that I wanted multiple channels running through the same sort of channel strip, if that makes sense. So I wanted to have this Spire ARP that we made, which I can automate in and out and change those filters. But then I also want to create a loop from that for this little audio sample here, which I'm going to sort of filter in and out. But I want to apply the same sort of reverb and delay and stuff like that onto both of those channels. So what I want to do is let's just export this, do the complete signal path, render. So now I've got the Spire patch, which I can sort of modulate and automate. Then I've got this audio sample. Now, what WAIO did in this track, and I think what he does quite a bit actually, is he cut this sample as if it were like a 1/8 dotted delay. I think that was the timing. So I've got this audio sample, right? And if you listen to the track, what he's done is it goes on like a 1/8 dotted type of sound, and then every 3 kicks, it changes. So let's cut this over here, and then let's shift this down to 3/16 notes. And then we can actually just press Control D, Control D, Control D, right? So now we've duplicated that first 3/16 notes, and then we want to do the same here, and we can actually just drag this along to fit. I believe that's now recreated the effect that I used. Duplicate these across. So now that we got both channels, we can highlight them both, and let's go over to our mixer, and let's right click over here on this little arrow, right click and say add group channel to selected channels, and we're going to call this main lead group 1. So now it's sent both of those channels to this group, and we can apply effects to that if we want to, like some slight delay or reverb and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get too in depth with that. Let's go back to this audio channel. So here we want to put on a filter. What am I doing? We want to put on a filter that slowly automates like upwards from about 70% or so. I'm actually going to duplicate this across here as well, so I can show you guys what I'm going to do here. So to sort of emulate that kind of sound of the delay, and then still being able to choose the samples that are being kind of replayed, this is a cool sort of technique to do that. And then specifically using the filter, you kind of get that kind of characteristic that a sort of dub delay or whatever would have. So what we want to do is we want to just automate this slightly inwards, and then at the drop here, we're going to do like a sudden kind of like filter drop like this, and try get as close to a kind of delay sound that we can kind of emulate over here. So let's have a listen to what this sounds like. So then here on the group, I'm just going to put on a delay. This new Yuhi color copy is absolutely amazing. If I haven't posted the sort of quick introduction video yet, then there's definitely one coming up soon on my channel, so stay tuned for that. But I might have already posted it before this video. I get confused sometimes, sorry about that. Yeah, awesome delay, this one. I'm not going to get too in depth with it in this episode. I'm just going to apply some basic effects so we can get closer to the type of sound that I'm wanting to show you guys. And then I believe I put on some slight reverb as well. And then I think also like some wider, the usual suspects. This one's cool, you can kind of change the tap. So I set it to about 65% or so, I think. That was 1/8. Turn the mix down, brightness down, saturation up. I think this delay needs to be turned down quite a bit. We don't actually want to we don't want to get the delay coming through too much in terms of like audibility. We just want to kind of get the characteristics of the delay just to add that extra kind of wideness and sparkle to the sound. So now we can go back to the patch and we can actually sort of start to play with automating these cutoffs and stuff like that. And then one last thing that he did here on the drop is the little kind of glitch effect. And just one thing to note, I might not be able to get this exactly to how it was, just based on the way that you kind of manipulate these sounds. It's almost impossible to kind of emulate the exact type of sort of glitch effect, because you're kind of getting so close up and dealing with kind of such small samples that whatever audio is contained within that sample is so hard to kind of break apart, if that makes sense. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click here and say render in place and just recreate a version of that. Then I'm going to re-enable it and just move it back, I think, to like here. And then the glitch starts like off the beat here. Let's just zoom in a little bit here. And what we can do is we can cut off this tail. We don't need this. And every second 16th, it's cut like that. And let's just drag them in a little bit. So here you want to just drag it to a random size. You want to turn this off here. And you want to just start duplicating them. Now, it doesn't matter if you've got gaps in between, and it doesn't matter if you're kind of out of time, because of the fact that you're working at such sort of a high resolution, the sort of tempo or time base is not going to be perceivable. And then we can bounce this out. Just go audio bounce. We don't have to render because we want to keep it on this channel. I'm going to do these other ones as well. I'll probably just fast forward through that. You can also, it's cool to like vary. So you don't want to get the times of these like beats the same. You want to get like different times. Each one must be slightly different to get that sort of varying glitchy effect. And then you can always just swap them around to see which one works best. So it can be quite cool sometimes to snap the last one to a grid to kind of like snap back into a time base before the drop happens. That's what I did here. I just set it to a 1/64. Awesome. Let me know what you guys think. As usual, I'm going to post that preset onto my Patreon for all my $5 supporters. If you're keen to check out my different pledges, definitely head on over to my Patreon and check out what I offer. A big thanks to IDM Mag, proud supporters of the dance music scene and my channel. If you like what I do, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. See you guys next time.